Hey everyone, so it's time to induct another enforcer into my Enforcer Hall of Fame. First video, if you didn't catch that, check it out. They're all in the same. They're all going to be in the same playlist called Enforcer HOF. My first video was Dave Schultz because he was the original enforcer. He was really the first one to fight a lot and use fighting the way that enforcers for the next 30 years after him used fighting. So that's why I put Schultz in first because he was really the first to do it. Now it's time for who I think is the greatest of all time, the greatest enforcer in NHL history, and I don't think that many people are going to disagree with me on this. I think he's pretty widely regarded as the best fighter and best enforcer of all time. Sadly, he died way too young, at 45 years old. But he is the next one to get the Hall of Fame nod because he is the GOAT. As far as enforcers go, it's Bob Probert. Probert had a pretty long NHL career, especially by enforcer standards. And obviously, he's most well known for his time with the Detroit Red Wings, but he also played for the Chicago Blackhawks. His best years came as a Red Wing, and he was an absolute animal on the ice. Nobody wanted to fight him. Some people had to fight him. He could knock anybody out. He was not afraid of anyone or anything, and he was just unbelievably difficult to play against. He made everybody afraid of him. And that's exactly what you want in an enforcer. And he made everybody afraid to touch one of his teammates because he would beat the living hell out of you if you did. The Detroit players and Chicago players, their stars really got to shine because nobody could hit them and nobody could take cheap shots against them because if they did, Probert was going to knock their teeth out the next shift. And that's an amazing thing to have on your team. And that's why the enforcer role was so prominent for so long because it was so much easier for star players to play when they had somebody on their bench who could come out and absolutely destroy someone if they got touched. And that's one thing I think is really missing from the game today. Guys like Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and stars throughout the league, star players on any team now can get pushed around, can get roughed up because nobody really does anything about it because there are no more players like Bob Probert in the league. And that's a real shame in my opinion. I think the league was a lot better with more fighting and a lot better when you had guys like Proby protecting the stars of the game. So Probert's career stats are actually pretty good. He was not just a fighter. He could play too. He played 935 career games. He had 163 career goals, 221 assists for 384 points, and he had 3,300 penalty minutes. That is a ton of penalty minutes, but he played for quite a while, so that's why those racked up. Because year after year, he was raking in 200-300 penalty minutes. According to HockeyFights.com, he had 240 career fights. That's both postseason and regular season. The most fights he ever had in a season came in 1987-88, which was 25. That's interesting because 25 doesn't seem like that much. Probert was not a guy who fought 40 times a year. He never did. He never was. Probert fought when he needed to. When he fought, it meant something. He wasn't just out there dropping the gloves with anyone and everyone, every game, just trying to get into as many fights as possible. That's not what he did. He fought when he needed to and when it would send a message that needed to be sent. So he would fight mostly to protect his teammates. If somebody went after anyone on the Red Wings or Blackhawks, he would go after them for that. If his team needed a boost, he would fight to do that. But he didn't just go out there and throw punches for the heck of it. His fights meant something, and also a lot of people didn't want to fight him. it's not easy for a guy as feared as Probert to get fights because a lot of guys are just going to say no. So he never fought a ton of times. He wasn't one of those 40 fights a year guys. Even at a time in the late 80s and early 90s where you did have guys reaching 40 fights a year, and certainly guys reaching 30, he never did. His most ever was 25. He also had 398 penalty minutes in 87-88, and it also was his best year of his career without a doubt. He had 29 goals that year and 62 points. 29 goals from a quote-unquote enforcer. He could play too. As you can see down here, he had 10-plus goals 6 times as an NHL player. He had 40-plus points 4 times. So it's not like he just sat on the fourth line and fought. He could play hockey too, and he could be a valuable point producer when needed to be. But as his career went on, his point total really started to decline, and he was asked to be more of that enforcer, fighter role than an actual point producer. But early on in the middle of his career, he could really put up points as well as penalty minutes. So he spent 1985 to 1994 with the Detroit Red Wings, and that's the time that he is most known for. When anyone thinks of Bob Probert, they think of a Red Wings jersey number 24. That's who he is. He played for Chicago after that from 1995 to 2002, but that time was not as productive for him and not as memorable. He is a Red Wing, and he will always be thought of as a Red Wing because he was a beast in the late 80s and early 90s with Detroit. So he had 300 penalty minutes. Only 3 times in his career did he go over that 300 penalty minute mark. But he was often over the 200 mark, and he never reached 400. So Dave Schultz has the record for 472 penalty minutes in one season. Probert never came close to that. He never went over 400 penalty minutes. His most ever was the 398 and 87-88. So, incredibly feared player, incredibly tough guy, very good hockey player as well as fighter, but I think he's the greatest enforcer of all time. Everybody was afraid of him, and he did his job exceptionally well, while also being an offensive producer at points in his career. So Bob Probert, the greatest fighter of all time, is the next inductee into the Enforcer Hall of Fame, and he was just a fantastic player, and I wish I was around to see him in his prime rather than having to go back and watch old YouTube videos and stuff to see him fight. But he was a heck of a fighter and a heck of a player as well, and had pretty much everyone in the league scared of him. So it doesn't get much better than that. So thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. Check out offthewallhockey.com. All those links are in the description below. Keep this channel growing. Keep up to 130 subscribers. Keep them coming. Thank you to everyone who watches these videos. Thank you to all my subscribers. I really, really appreciate it, and I just hope this channel keeps on going up the way that it has been the last couple of months here. So, thank you all again, and talk to you guys soon.